morning. Waiting on YouTube. Here we go. YouTube is finally in with us. Good morning and welcome to 5 Minutes or More with Pastor. It is July 4th. It's Saturday, July 4th. It is our Independence Day, birthday number 244 for America. And so excited to celebrate that today. And I was, I was kind of preparing for that. We've been yesterday's Cassie and I's anniversary, but we did some shopping for today. Her parents are going to come over and we're going to celebrate. And I was just thinking about July 4th and started to think about some of my favorite Americans. And maybe you want to share something in the comment section as well. I think it'd be an interesting thing to see what are some of your favorite Americans. And I had a handful that came to mind. Obviously, like a lot of people, really admire Abraham Lincoln. But I'll be honest with you, the reason so much for me in the beginning was he was uh, Kentucky born, and so immediately there was a kindred spirit there between he and I. And I remember even from a little kid loving guys like um, Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone and even Lewis and Clark, who had this pioneering spirit about them. Teddy Roosevelt, and just the manly man that he was as a president. I mean, he got shot while giving a speech and finished giving his speech, and but also so thankful for men like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, who had such a big part in the construction and in the writing of and in the language of our Constitution that is still such a valuable and important document today, 200 and almost 250 years later. And many of those men who were willing uh, to really die for their freedoms, for the birth of a country. um, you know, and I've just so many of those people um, that I respect and look up to, and I'm thankful for that God used them to form and to lay the foundation of and continue to build the country that we have today. And so it brought me back to a couple of scriptures that I wanted to share with you this morning, as opposed to continuing on in Psalm 63. I'm sure it's familiar to you. Psalm 33 and verse 12 says, "Blessed or happy or is the nation, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." And I believe with all of my heart, and I think you would struggle to convince anybody differently. I believe that God's hand of blessing was on the formation of the United States of America. And I think we do a major disservice to the people and to the country as a whole when all we do is focus on its faults. Is America a perfect country? Was it ever a perfect country? Did it do everything right? No. Did it have its sins? Did it have its mistakes? Did it have its shortfalls? Yes. Uh, but it also did, I think it's done more good for mankind and for the world than any other country has in 250 years. And I think God's blessing has been on America. Now, the unfortunate thing is that there's been many people, I think, that have tried to destroy the foundation upon which was America was built. And so, for you and for I as Christians, if we truly value um, the country we live in, and I think we should, is America perfect today? No. Does she still have issues that we struggle with? Without a doubt. All we have to do is look around and see. There's no doubt about it. But I still think she's the best country in the world. I wouldn't trade her for anything or any other place in the world. Um, and I think God, the Bible tells us, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And then also, you may be familiar with Genesis chapter 12 and verse 3. It says, This is God speaking to Abraham, and he says, "And I will bless them that bless thee," because he's talking about forming a nation, Israel, from Abraham. He says, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed." I think one of the reasons that God's grace um, has continued to sustain America is because we're one of the few nations in the world that is an ally to Israel. And man, as I sit here this morning and I think about 244 years of America and the America that we're going to pass on to our children and grandchildren, um, there are two major prayers in my heart, and there's many, many more. There's many more. I want God to put godly leadership into place, and I want, I want godly legislation to pass, and I want godly people to sit on the courts, all the while understanding that God is sovereignly in control of those things. And as a matter of fact, we'll see that not this week, but next week on our Sunday evening services. We're going to be done with the book of Joel this Sunday, but we're going to transition to the book of Esther the next Sunday. And boy, things look like a mess there. But God was providentially and sovereignly in control of those things. And I understand that whether the person I want in office is there or whether the person I want on the Supreme Court is there, that God is still providentially and sovereignly in control of those things. But as I think about the country, the America that many of us love and care for deeply, that I want to pass on to my children, there are really two things that come to my mind for us to continue to advocate and to pray for. Number one, that God would turn the heart of this nation back to Him. How? I don't know. In what way? It says, "Blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord." And I believe in the beginning we were set up that way for, was every founding father a believing Christian? No. Um, I think most of them were. I think many of them were. I think many of them believed in certainly in a deity, and I think many of them allowed those things to direct their writings in the direction of the country. But I do think many of them that were influential were Bible believing Christians, believed in the Lord. But we need to ask God to turn our hearts back to Him, and especially the leadership, and have people who are making decisions based on God and His Word. But the second one we need to continue to pray for is that we would maintain a good relationship with Israel. I think sometimes maybe that gets overlooked as not a big deal. But I think it's something we should pray for as a country, that we would always be a country who um, who is an ally to God's people. Um, is Israel perfect? No. But God has a special plan for them, and God has a special purpose for them. And I think the Bible, God keeps His promises, and He says, "I'll bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee." Um, I love America, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'm thankful that I was born in this country and that I live in this country. And I think we should continue to pray for God's blessing in this country. Some people may hesitate to say that. Is God really still blessing America? Well, I think all you have to do is hop on a plane and go to some other countries in the world, and you'll see that, yeah, I think He is. Again, is it perfect? No. Is it everything we wish it'd be? Mm-mm. No, but I still think that God has been good to this country, and God has been good to me. And if you live here, God has been good to you, and we should still ask Him to do a work in our country. We should pray for revival, that God would send revival to the hearts of men. And as I mentioned in John chapter 4, the real answer is Jesus. We don't know the real thing that will change people and could change this country is the Lord. And so we pray for that. We pray for God uh, to, uh, we lift Jesus up. And the Bible tells us that when we lift Him up, that He'll draw all men unto Himself. And that's what we want to see happen. We want to lift Jesus up in this country and see people drawn to Him and changed because of their relationship with Him. And I believe that God can have a long and prosperous and blessed history and future for our country. Um, so I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoy celebrating America. And again, if you happen to watch this later, let me know who are some of your favorite Americans, and we'll talk to you later.